Welcome, guys. Let us discuss the four schools of thought in philosophy. And on today's episode, we'll be talking about idealism. Idealism can be seen as the primacy of mind and ideas. Idealism in philosophy is the assertion that reality is fundamentally connected to or composed of the mind, spirit, or ideas, as opposed to material things. It stands in direct opposition to materialism, which holds that physical matter is the basic substance of the world. The essence of idealism is captured in the notion that to be is to be perceived, or that reality reveals its ultimate nature more faithfully in its highest qualities and its lowest qualities. The philosophy of idealism has its own core principles. Idealist philosophies, despite their variations, generally share a few key tenets. Primacy of consciousness. The central tenet is that consciousness, mind, or spirit is the ultimate foundation of all reality. The physical world, in this view, is in some way a manifestation or expression of this mental or spiritual base. Ideas as reality. True reality lies in ideas, forms, or concepts, which are often considered more stable, perfect, and enduring than the fleeting objects of the sensory world. Knowledge through reason. Idealists often emphasize the power of reason and introspection as the path to true knowledge, and sensory perception is seen as potentially misleading or only providing knowledge of appearance. Philosophers have developed several distinct forms of idealism to explain the relationship between the mind and reality, which leads to the types of idealism. Platonic idealism. This type of idealism was proposed by the ancient Greek philosopher Plato, which is arguably the earliest and most influential form of idealism in the West. Plato argued that physical objects in the material world are merely imperfect copies of external, unchanging and perfect forms or ideas that exist in a higher, non-physical realm. Subjective idealism. Most famously associated with George Berkeley, this view holds that physical objects do not exist independently of being perceived. The phrase esse est percipe, to be is to be perceived, summarizes this position. For Berkeley, the stability of the external world is maintained by its continuous perception by the mind of God. Transcendental idealism. Immanuel Kant introduced this form, which argues that our knowledge of the world is not of things in themselves, but of how they appear to us, shaped by the inherent structures and categories of the human mind, such as space and time. Kant maintained that a mind-independent reality exists but is ultimately unknowable to human experience. Absolute idealism. Prominently developed by G.W.F. Hegel, this theory posits that all of reality is a single, all-encompassing absolute spirit or consciousness that unfolds through a dialectical process. Individual minds are part of this larger universal mind. Influence and criticism. Idealism has a profound impact on philosophy, theology, and education, influencing thinkers in both Eastern traditions, such as Advaita Vedanta in Hinduism, and Western thought. However, idealism has faced significant criticism, particularly from proponents of materialism and realism. Critics argue that it is too abstract, disconnected from the empirical world of science and daily life, and that concepts like mind or spirit are difficult to define or observe empirically. The rise of analytical philosophy in the 20th century, led by philosophers like G. E. Moore and Bertrand Russell, launched strong attacks on idealist doctrines. Despite this, some contemporary philosophers still consider aspects of idealism to be a viable metaphysical proposition.